what would you say are the most challenges you have found to hire people?
I think it's the depth of knowledge that you need to have in the industry that we play in. Because, like I said, we could just be a pergola business, and there's a significant value in specializing just on pergolas because you could be really, really good at it. But because we do pergolas and we do kitchens and we do pools and we do decking and we sell furniture and we sell appliances, all of those are a world of themselves. So one of the biggest challenges we have is...
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Azenco Outdoor Podcast, the show where we dive into the outdoor living business and share real strategies with the people that make it happen. Hey, Felipe, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Felipe, you are the Director of Sales and Marketing at the Patio District.
Yeah, that's correct.
A little bit of history, you are the first dealer of Azenco. So
yeah.
Again, thank you for that.
2017, 18?
19, I
19,
think.
yeah.
I probably started to contact you in 2017.
Okay.
But you only decided to become a dealer in 2019.
Yeah.
We're both in the outdoor living industry. How did you end it being in that industry on your side?
Oh, wow. So I guess we have to kind of go back to 2005 when the whole company started. My dad had recently sold a business that he had in the event planning, party rental space, and we were looking for kind of the next thing to do. And I remember one Saturday he asked me to go with him to Barbecues Galore, which was a barbecue retailer that operated throughout the United States. They had a few locations here. And we walked in and he fell in love with the concept. These custom-built outdoor kitchens, but they weren't really true to the South Florida market, right? Particularly Miami has always been a little bit more contemporary.
Yes.
The look was very Midwest, very traditional. And the idea came from there to develop a company that specialized in custom outdoor kitchens. The business started fairly small in a warehouse, 1,200 square feet. It was just my dad and my mom at the time. And it kind of just started to grow from there. At the time, I was graduating from high school, going to college. So I went to college. I came back in 2013, 2014. And my plan was to just join the company for the summer to help out a little bit. The business had grown significantly. We had stepped into a large showroom, the one we operate now, 35,000 square feet. And I just kind of stayed. I sort of fell in love with the concept of outdoor living. Also, working with family. I think we're very lucky to do that. My brother's also part of the business. Yes. And you fast forward to today, we're the biggest outdoor living company in South Florida. We have about 100 ongoing projects at the moment. We're able to onboard around 250 leads, and it's been a really exciting journey. And obviously, my brother and I take the responsibility very seriously of now having to take the company to the next level.
That's great. That's amazing. And you run the business, right, in family. Mm-hmm. I understand this is not always easy. We do the same here.
Yeah.
Hiring is, of course, part our day-to-day.
Oh, yeah.
So what would you say that are your first 3 hires for a successful aluminum pergola business?
I think that depends a little bit on the business and particularly the entrepreneur, the leader in the business, because you typically want to hire for the things that supplement you well or that complement you well, right? So maybe I'm great at sales, so that part is initially covered, so I need to go and find someone in operations or someone in accounting. When we started to scale the business, we realized early on that there was a significant advantage in specialization. So when I came into the business, I came in particularly focused on the sales and marketing side, and that's sort of the lane that I always focused on. When my brother came into the business, he came in on the operational side. So, I guess the formula will vary for different people depending on where they are, but I'd say the starting point is probably that commercial side, right? That lead gen or generating revenue to be able to support the growth. So I would probably start with, who and what is your sales infrastructure? So, hiring a sales representative, and that person maybe is in charge of onboarding leads, of going out and doing site consultations, of preparing proposals, of following up with business, of keeping a healthy pipeline. Because that, as we know in the world of sales, you got to do 10, 15 consultations so you can maybe close 3 or 4 of those. And really effective salespeople are hyper-focused in that cycle. Mm-hmm. So I'd say I'd probably start there and just bring in someone who's focused on the sales side of things. Obviously, this assumes that you already have some type of lead generation or some type of funnels that are bringing in those opportunities. But I think if you're able to set that up initially, that generates the revenue to then grow in other areas.
I assume, that, as you said, depending on what is the base of your business, of course, probably the higher you're going to do, for instance, for a sales rep, it's not going to be the same if you already have a lead gen in place versus somebody that needs to knock at the door and, find the leads themselves. The person is not going to be the same depending on how you're going to generate your leads.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, but there may be some complementary traits that you want. Either someone that's out there and knocking on doors. We have sort of our own version of knocking on doors, which is we encourage our sales representatives to outreach to different trade partners, whether they're designers, architects.
Yeah, networking, basically.
Exactly. But I think some of those traits are somewhat similar, right? So you need someone that's outgoing. You need someone that is a people person. You need someone that has a bit of a thick skin, because there's a certain level of accepting rejection in sales that you just kind of have to get used to and get good at. Obviously, there's some design sensibilities in what we do, right? I need to be able to walk into someone's home or someone's business and say, hey, here are the suggestions, here are the things that I think can work well. But there's also an aspect of being hungry, right? And sales, and particularly the way we set up our sales infrastructure, is with a base salary that's modest, but a very aggressive commission structure.
Okay.
So the more you sell, the more you're going to make in commission. So you need that hustle, you need that hunger to really go after every deal and to not give up on opportunities very easily, right? We know that a lot of business dies because people just don't follow up. Obviously, the sales infrastructure also comes with the systems in place to help you manage that effectively. Because, if you're doing maybe 10, 15 new leads a month, then that's something that you can probably run on an Excel sheet. But as you start to scale to 200-300 leads a month, how do you maintain that in order? And more importantly, as the business owner, how do you have oversight of what your team is doing? We now have 5 project consultants, 2 retail sales representatives, and without the CRM that we use, we wouldn't be able to keep track of any of it. So I think, the systems come in place, but also having those people who are hungry, who are good salespeople, is crucial in developing that team.
Sure. If you had to just say, okay, I'm gonna add 3 people, to us, it would be what? Probably accounting, a project manager.
Yeah.
And
I think project management is key.
Yeah.
And particularly in the way that we operate. So, if I have that sales infrastructure in place, I've hired that person that's going out there looking for business generating revenue. My second hire is definitely that project manager or sort of that operational focus. Primarily because what works for us is sort of the specialization, right? So I want my sales guys to just sell. And once we get a contract locked in, then that's moving to the project manager and the operations team. And then you take it from signed contract into execution of the project.
Sure.
I think that there's some different skill sets involved too, right? If you're on the operational side, you need to be very detail oriented. You need to be quite good also at communication, because obviously, it's all a honeymoon in the sales phase, right? Everyone, is excited about the project, and we're looking at 3D renders, and everyone gets, the customer's super excited, but then comes the reality of executing a project and everything that's involved.
Yes.
Particularly here in South Florida, where we deal with permitting, and it's probably one of the hardest places in the country to get something like this approved because 175 mile an hour winds. So the skill set required on the operational side, I think is a little bit different from the sales side of things, but it's so crucial in having someone that's just focused in executing projects, right? And it speaks to sort of that concept of specializing, because if I'm a one-man show, I can probably do a lot. And I think it's one of the things that a lot of founders struggle with, giving up some of that control to be able to scale. But
yeah, and I'm like that.
Same.
I was like that. I was like that. It was hard for me to delegate and give away, a lot of things.
Absolutely. And my dad's still that way too.
Yeah.
Like he's always up in my business, just making sure that I'm doing
retired,
what I need
right?
to. Exactly.
Kind of.
Yeah. But there's only so much that you can do. There's only so many projects that you can take on. So setting up those different fronts, that different specialized team, I think just kind of helps you take on more volume. And you sacrifice a little bit of I know I would have done it better, but the end result is much better.
Yeah, no, and trying to work on everything at the same time, it's, as you said, if I do it, maybe it's going to be better. But at the end of the day, it's good to have people that are dedicated to one thing and keep you direction in what you're good at. So I agree with you.
Right.
And how many people do you have today in the team, in like the entire team?
Yeah, so it's about 30 of us in the company. We have a sort of divided into the sales and commercial departments, so that oversees marketing, sales, back office.
Okay.
Our sales staff is 7 people. So we have 5 project consultants. These are the guys that are going out and doing site appointments, preparing proposals. Then we have 2 retail sales representatives. Obviously, our showroom being as large as it is, we have a big retail footprint. So we do outdoor furniture, outdoor kitchen appliances, decoration, pretty much all the stuff that's complementary to the outdoor living project.
Okay.
Then we have a design team, which is our back office team. They're in charge of putting together renders, putting together shop drawings, site plans, construction plans, and following the permitting phase.
Okay.
And then we have our front desk staff. So these guys are just taking in phone calls, making sure that leads are being attended to right away, just the day-to-day administrative tasks. Then on the operational side, we have construction manager, and he's really just in charge of quality control across all projects.
Okay.
We have 3 project managers, and their role is a little bit different in the sense that while construction manager is a highly technical job, and because we operate in the space of not just pergolas, but we also do kitchens and pools and flooring and decking, there's a depth of knowledge that takes quite a long time to acquire.
Sure.
Replicating that takes some time as well.
Yes.
So having project managers who have assigned projects and their responsibility is just to make sure that the project is moving forward.
Okay.
So whether I'm working with the back office team because I'm having to do some type of revision on the permit or on the plans to submit to the city, or I'm working with the scheduling department to see when I can get started with foundations, or I'm working with the construction manager because I have to address how we're going to anchor here or where we're going to place that column. So the project manager role is really in charge of kind of moving that project along.
Okay.
But more importantly, being the point of contact for the client, right? Because if I don't want the sales staff involved in the day-to-day communication, and sometimes that's a hard cycle to break, because if I came to your house and I sold you the project and I was sort of the face to start, it's sort of hard to pass you along to, hey, now this is going to be your contact.
Somebody. But as you said, I think it's good to have the people that are good, in what they're doing. So selling, designing doing all the base of the project, and then you pass to the project manager because he knows how to handle the process, what's going to happen next, the permitting, in our area and all of that. So it's good to have people that really know how to handle that. So, I understand.
And also just the aspect of client communications, which is so crucial in what we do.
Yes.
And back to this sort of notion of specializing, right? If I'm running sales, but I'm also running my projects and I'm trying to keep all my clients up to date, but I'm trying to close these deals and I'm trying to send out these estimates, things are going to fall through the cracks.
Yes, sure.
So as we set up the project management role, we look at key milestones that affect compensation through a variable program where time frame matters, customer satisfaction and communication matters, and then profitability matters too, because now it's your project. Sure. You have to make sure that we execute this on time and on budget, and part of that variable compensation structure that we create for you is based on those milestones.
Okay. You talk about customer satisfaction? Do you do like surveys, or do you engage with the customers to know if their project managers are doing well or things like that? Or
we don't. And it's something that we've talked about starting, because at the end of the day, customer feedback is valuable, and it tells you where you can improve.
Okay.
We do encourage our project managers to communicate with clients and to get feedback and to get positive reviews when the project it's executed. Sure. That obviously gives us a sense of like who's happy. I think the best indicator of who's happy too is who's paying those final balances at the end of the day, because if they're not happy, they're not going to close. But the way we see it too is a lot of the responsibility is manage your project, manage the client effectively. Of course, things are going to happen. Of course, we're going to have delays. We get rained out an entire week, and that pushes every project. And if we have 80 ongoing projects now, I'm not going to be in your house until 2 weeks from now. But a lot of the times, it's not the bad news that gets people upset. I find it surprising how understanding most clients can be, as long as you're communicating effectively, right?
Yes.
So get ahead of it, right? If you know that something happened, don't wait for the client to call and say, hey, this got scratched. Be the person that calls and reaches out and say, hey, this happened. This is what we're going to do to address it. Yes. And this is the next step.
Yeah, sure. No, I understand. So, we have auditor of that podcast, of course. So I'm going to ask you why the people that are listening, the podcast right now should follow your advice.
I mean, I'd say rather than just kind of follow it blindly, take it with a grain of salt. Because, we've made a lot of mistakes. We've learned a lot through those mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes in hiring people. And that's kind of helped me improve. And like I said, there's a lot of things that are sort of malleable to where you are, to, what type of operation you're running. So the best I can do is share what's helped us go from $1 million in revenue to hopefully $15 million in revenue this year. But that's still changing and we're still tweaking. And just the other day, we were having conversations about how we can improve some operational processes, because what we've realized is that we've become quite bureaucratic in the way we do things, right?
Yes.
So now sales needs to get an approval to move something over to the back office, and the back office needs to send it back to sales so they get their signature, so the customer gets their signature, so now it can go to plans and permits. So
I know.
In trying to find and cover all these gaps that start creating, you start filling yourself with all these processes, and then you realize like, wait, this is actually making us quite inefficient. Maybe we need to find ways of streamlining the process. So, I'd say take it with a grain of salt, see what makes sense, and try to implement little things and see if they have a positive impact. I've rolled out a bunch of things that I realized, well, this really doesn't work, or hired people. I've gone through maybe 6 or 7 sales managers, and it's taken me a while to get the right formula. And I think one of the mistakes in that area that I made early on was I was hiring too fast. I was hiring a bit out of desperation. Like, I need this role. I can't take all the work that I have currently on my plate. So maybe the first person that would say a couple of the right things would get hired. And then I realized later on, like, this isn't a great fit. And that's not fair to the person that you hired. It's also not fair for you. So one of the things that I've done now is really slow down that hiring process and don't make the decision because I need to put out a fire. Make the decision because I see this person being a part of the team, growing with the team, hopefully. And then I heard this on a podcast the other day, which I thought was great. It's like, ask yourself before you hire someone, if the roles were different, could you work for that person? And a lot of the times that I've asked myself, and the answer has been yes, now I have great team members across the organization.
Okay, that's a great trick. I probably use it next time I do a hire. Yeah. And so what are the most challenges? So you said, okay, now you slow down on your hiring, but what would you say are the most challenges you have found to hire people?
I think it's the depth of knowledge that you need to have in the industry that we play in.
Okay.
Because like I said, we could just be a pergola business, and there's a significant value in specializing just on pergolas because you could be really, really good at it. But because we do pergolas and we do kitchens and we do pools and we do decking and we sell furniture and we sell appliances, all of those are a world of themselves. So one of the biggest challenges we have is when we onboard someone new, say in the sales side of things, how long it takes them to get proficient. Okay. And maybe they get better at some product lines a little bit quicker than others. But I have people that have been in the team for 5-6 years, and they may not be where I'd like them to be on the furniture side of things or on the lighting side of things. So that's probably one of the biggest challenges that I'm trying to solve at the moment. And a lot of it is now, how do we document our processes in terms of onboarding? And how do we create a manual that's replicable, right? Because a lot of it in the past has been like, okay, we're going to give you sort of a 2-week crash course on everything. We're going to sit you down, walk you through a whole bunch of PowerPoints. I'll spend 2 weeks dedicating all my time to you just to get you up to speed. But then I'm kind of throwing you out there and seeing what you have and seeing how you navigate it. There's also an element in construction and design that I think is just, you have to figure things out. But if we can be better at documenting these processes, at creating these manuals, at creating these resources where if someone has questions, they know where to go. And we don't create the bottlenecks of like, oh, Felipe will give you the answer or Sebastian will give you the answer. Okay. Then we maybe have a better chance of improving that onboarding.
So I actually found, just for you to share, have found a software. Another dealer shared that with me, actually. I'm not going to take the credit for that. A software called Trainual. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you look at it.
I've seen the ads.
But it's we started to work with it a little bit. And it looks great because you really can build your process. You can even, so the people can, watch the training. It's a video. You also have a testing. So you can test, when you hire the people after their training.
Okay.
You can test them and you can say, okay, if you didn't pass 85%, then you need to do the training again. And you have an AI chatbot integrated into the Trainual. So all the processes of your company is training the chatbot on the back end. So any employees can ask any questions. So what Azenco Pergola, what kind of option of lighting do they have, right? And if you have things on the back end that say, okay, Azenco has recessed light, LED strip, whatever, then the chatbot is going to answer. So instead of say, oh, Felipe, can you tell me again what are the options of Azenco?
Yeah.
So I look at the demo and it looks pretty nice. So Trainual,
okay.
Maybe there's other ones, but this one looks like a good tool for people that want to hire. And training, it's always something, as you said, we dedicate a lot of time. We even sometimes care to change with somebody else in the team because we're thinking that we're going to need to train them, and then we don't do what we're supposed to do on a daily basis. So it sometimes impact our decision, right? So, but you look at it, you let me know.
No, and you know what? I love the AI component of this. I'd seen Trainual before. I'd seen some of the ads that have come across. I didn't know that there was that element of it because what we've done is, so we use Slack internally as part of Salesforce.
Okay.
And Slack is kind of our where work gets done platform. Mm-hmm. And we've built channels for onboarding, for training, for different positions, but the AI component is a game changer because then anyone can ask it any questions. And if I can feed it the product catalog for the R Blade and the user can then ask a specific question on the R Blade. Yeah. Can't imagine how much time that's going to save me.
So I will try it too soon. So it will
Let
be
me know.
interesting to discuss about it in a few months. So looking at all of that, what would you tell your younger self if you could go back to the first hire that you did?
Yeah, I think don't hire out of desperation is kind of the first thing. And then hire people that you feel you really can work with because at least for us, it still feels like a family, right? My dad is there, my brother's there, my mom is there. And then everyone that's part of the team, there's sort of a camaraderie and we get along. So I think that cultural fit matters. I think in the past, maybe we've hired people that could have been very good at the job, but they didn't fit with who we are, how we want to come across, the level of service that we want to provide. So understanding who we are and what we bring to the table, what we bring to the marketplace, how we want to relate with clients, and then developing that in the team is crucial. And there's certain times, people who look great on paper, but they just don't fit that culture. And I think the other thing is just trust your gut a little bit more. There was times where, something said, I don't know, I'm not sure. And maybe out of that desperation that I mentioned, we would move forward with a hire, and then we realized wow, it didn't work out. And early on, within the first 30 days, if it's a good fit or not.
Sure.
And at times we've kind of held off for 2, 3, 4 months before we've made the decision to part ways, and that's just not fair to the person. It's not fair to us too. So I think when you recognize that you've made a mistake, And a lot of that too is, I think, maybe your own personal ego saying, well, I hired the sales manager and this person is supposed to help me on this and that. And I went out on the limb and I got the budget for the position. So now if I have to go back and, tell mom, hey, mom, I messed up on this. You kind of hold off for things to change. But I think the minute that you realize that a change is required, the best thing you can do is, take the bandage off, make the change.
I mean, you said that you learn, right? That you learn that you have to change certain things, but is there dramatic changes that you have to do in terms of your hiring process when you were doing 1 million to go to the 50 million?
I don't think a lot of it has changed in terms of the way that we conduct interviews. I think the things that we ask have changed a bit. And I've tried a couple of different things. I've tried sort of like, psychoanalytic tests where I put a whole bunch of screws in a box and I just pay attention to how people do that. And in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done that for, front desk administrative assistant. But I've played with a lot of different protocols on, how to hire, different types of questions that I want to ask. I think what helps more than anything is just having a genuine conversation, and maybe not just one, right? So our hiring process is sometimes 3 and 4 interviews in different settings. So maybe the first one is a bit of a more formal interview where we're sitting at a table, we're getting to know you. A second interview could be, outside in the patio or maybe off-site somewhere. But there's an element of kind of just getting through to the person and getting a good sense of who they are, because I've also had situations where I've sat in interviews with people who are incredibly good at interviewing. They have all the right answers. They say all the right things. They carry themselves incredibly well. And then, we hired a salesperson who I thought was going to kill it because had all the right answers.
Yeah.
He was outgoing, was energetic in the interview, and then he's sitting in his desk for the first couple of weeks, and I just see someone that's shy, someone that's a bit of an introvert, someone that doesn't feel that comfortable getting up and starting a conversation with client, or even nervous on the phone when a lead gets passed over. And I'm asking myself, like, wow, great interview, but those skills don't translate to your day-to-day job. So
that's weird.
yeah, surprisingly. So I think it's that element of like hire slow, have genuine conversations and ask questions about your personal life, about what motivates you, not just, what do you do if a client isn't answering, or if a client is ghosting you? And some of that is useful to understand if you have sort of some, techniques or, things that you go to try and move a sale forward, or how you ask for the sale, that kind of stuff. That's useful to know, but a lot of that can be taught and a lot of that can be learned. It's, can you get a good sense of who they are, what drives them, what's important to them? And I think also that tells you if they're a good cultural fit.
Sure.
But yeah, in terms of whether the process has changed, I think it's evolved, and we've tried a lot of different things, but at the end of the day, we just want to have a genuine conversation with someone that wants to be a part of the team, understand why they want to be a part of the team, and see if it's a good fit for everyone.
Yeah, no, sure. No, I think that's pretty impressive. I mean, as I said, where we started, remember, in a very small warehouse, the very similar story.
I remember going to the first training,
Yes. So it has been very exciting to share that journey, with the entire team, and I'm sure the people that are going to watch the podcast are going to learn. But I'm sure I'm going to take some of your advice today, really. So thank you, Felipe, for that. Thank you for participating to our podcast. I hope everybody will enjoy the podcast, and don't forget to follow us on YouTube and social medias.